Hi, I'm Christiana with Christiana's Yoga. This video is going to be a short tutorial on exercises that you can do to support the arches in your feet. And this will allow you to have a good strong foundation in your yoga poses, but also in your daily life. And these exercises are also very good for you to do if you are feeling pain or tiredness or sore, achy feet after a long day of being on them. You can use these exercises to help you find some relief from that discomfort in your feet. So what we'll do is I'll talk to you about Bandha, the foundation in your feet for yoga. And then I'll also show you 3 exercises for your arches. And then we'll do some stretches before we finish. So the reason it's important to take care of the arches in our feet is because a lot of times we lose the arches in our feet because of the shoes that we wear, whether they're athletic shoes that cause our toes to curl up or heels that increase that even more and cause us to lose a particular arch in our foot. But this leads to pain in our feet. And because everything is interconnected, if there's pain in our feet, that could cause problems in our ankles, which then can cause problems in our knees, and then it's connected to the actions of the hip as well, so it causes problems there too. And some of you may have already experienced this. So that's why these exercises are going to be really helpful for you. So let's start with Bandha. This is the action of activating the arches in your feet to have your very strong foundation in many standing poses in yoga. So I'm going to stand up. I know that you won't be able to see my head, but it's more important that you see my feet. And actually, let me show you, rather than stick my foot in your face, I made this graphic here to show you that if you're in a yoga class and you hear the teacher cue to press into all 4 corners of your feet, these are the corners that they're referring to. And the reason I feel like it's important to point this out is because I know that when I've been in yoga classes and I've heard this cue, it's been confusing to me because I picture the heel as one point, and that's very common in anatomy for the heel to be one point. But the reason why I think that 2 points on the inner and outer part of the heel is helpful is because it teaches you to be more aware if you are pressing into one side of the foot or the other, can help you determine if you're tipping your ankle instead of stacking it directly above your foot without your knee tipping in or out. So that's why I think it's helpful to have 2 points on the back of the heel. Now, here's how you can activate Bandha. So you stand tall, stand comfortably with your hips roughly hips distance apart, where you can press into all 4 corners of your feet down into the ground evenly. So in order to get it going, stand nice and tall, press into all 4 corners as best as you can, and then lift all your toes off of the mat, just enough so you feel that activation in the front of your shin. And then spread your toes nice and wide. You may already feel your arches activate. Now, gently place your toes back down, but without gripping. This is the first foundation for pretty much all of the standing poses, unless cued otherwise, to create that strong balance in your poses. This is also a very good way to practice standing for the health of your feet, because you might feel that it's activating your arches and sending energy back up into your legs. That's Bandha. So next we'll talk about the exercises, and we'll start with the exercise for the medial arch, which runs from your big toe mound back to the heel, along the inside of your foot back to your heel. So sitting comfortably either in a chair or on the floor, press into all 4 corners of your feet. Try to make sure your knees are tracking in line with your ankles and not spilling over to one side or the other. And then lift all your toes up off the mat. Spread them nice and wide. And then, while keeping all of your toes lifted, place your big toe down and then lift it back up again. And just do this several times, and you may feel that it is stretching that muscle or strengthening that muscle along the inside of your foot each time you do. It could be a little challenging, so just keep going. Very good. Now the next challenge is to lift all your toes up, and this time keep all your toes up, including your big toe, and then try to reach your pinky toe or your little toe down to the mat. And it's okay if your second to last toes go with it, because they're kind of formed together. So lift, place it back down, keeping your other toes lifted. Lift, place it back down. Just do this several times. This exercise is for your lateral arch along the outside of your foot from your little toe mound outside all the way back to your heel. Okay. The third exercise, lift all your toes up. Remember to keep pressing into the four corners of your feet. Spread your toes nice and wide. And now this time, bring it all together and just try to place your pinky toes and your big toes down while keeping your other toes lifted. This exercise is important for the transverse arch across the front of your foot, or between your big toe mounds to your little toe mounds. And this one is really important because this one often gets lost wearing athletic shoes or shoes with heels. So just keep doing that. Lift all your toes and then spread. Press your big toes and pinky toes down. And it could take a little work. Lift them back up again and back down again. And these are really good exercises for you to do every single day. And then of course, if you have tired feet, this is a good thing to do to help alleviate that pain. But once you're finished doing this work, then it's always good to bring in some exercise, some stretches to help work it back out again. So on both feet, just curl your top toes down. And notice if you have like some snap, crackles, and pops, it might mean that your toes were a little bit tense in this direction from shoes that you're wearing. So curl them back down and do that several times. And then do that on the other foot. So curl your toes down. I do like to stretch them back the other way. It feels really nice. Curl them down. And then the next stretch is to help create that transverse arch across the top of your foot. It's like a bridge that runs along the top. So place your fingertips in the middle of the ball of your foot, and then just rotate your foot down and out to help create the arch back into your foot. Do that a few times. And do the same on the other foot. We'll always want to cultivate balance, so we want to make sure we do the same thing on each side. And that's that. So hopefully this was a good instruction to help you learn ways that you can help take care of the arches in your feet. And you can bring that into your yoga practice as well as your everyday life, your everyday activities. And then a little sidebar I wanted to throw in here is these are really good exercises for people who like to stand up paddleboard. That's one of my most favorite hobbies ever. And I know that people who do that often experience foot pain or toe numbness during a paddleboard session, because sometimes in an effort to create more balance on the board, we like to grip the board with our toes, and that causes pain and discomfort during the paddle session. So these are really great exercises for paddleboarders to implement or use on a daily basis or before and after a paddle session And Bandha is actually a really good way to cultivate that balance on your paddleboard. So trying to implement Bandha into how you stand on your paddleboard during your session, your paddleboard session, would be a really great way to help your feet during that and not feel so numb or uncomfortable. So I hope this was helpful. If you have experienced any of this pain, or if you do any kinds of practices like this to help your feet, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But overall, I really hope this was helpful, so save it for later. Use it as much as you need, but I hope that you do these practices daily to show some love to your feet. Thank you so much.